What's going on, guys? Gabe here with ReviewDork. Now, my last video received a lot of love. Do I have the conviction that AMC could reach up to 100,000 a share? Absolutely. Did I say that bare minimum 100,000? No. Now, when we look at this here, and you guys can see my little drawing here, we have the hold period as the stock makes its way to a peak. And then the general consensus is that everybody sells on the downtrend. In a perfect vacuum, this works. Assuming that stocks only go up and then they go down. But now lurks the question, well, actually two questions. How do we know we've hit peak? I mean, we could look at indicators like the volume, we can look at the relative strength index, we can look at the MACD, and we could formulate, sort of kind of guesstimate when we've reached peak, or can we? Absolutely not. Anybody who's telling you that they can find the peak is just outright lying. Now we have to look at what AMC is. For some, it's a lottery ticket. For others, it's an investment. Now, I do have a little theory here as to what is going to happen. So first off, we got the diamond ape saying the paper hands aren't going to let us get to 100,000, and possibly so. There are some naysayers that say, well, the paper handlers aren't going to let us get to 1,000, maybe rightfully so. Ideally, all we can do is hold. But wait, there's more. We could actually buy. And I'm going to illustrate to you the method I will be using when I'm trading AMC and the squeeze. And we're going to use GameStop as an example because none of us know where the peak is. Now, with GameStop being an example, we had pre-market highs somewhere over $500, right? And then when the market opened, we peaked at 482, and then it dipped. And it dipped down to 112. You sell all your positions there, you're out of the game, right? You're done. You made your money. The thing is that if you sell your positions incrementally, you could have made more money because it dipped down to 112, and I believe it recovered all the way up to 300. Are we leaving money out on the table? Well, absolutely. So if you are going to hold all the way up to its peak, you are assuming that this is going to be a perfect apex. It's not. It's going to have its ridges. It's going to have its ups and downs. And for those who are saying, well, how do I trade this? How do I know when the peak is? Well, you have to buy yourself an insurance policy. And what do I mean by that? We're going to get right to it in a second, but I do want to pay attention to this theory here of when we sell. So let's say the peak is 100,000. Who are we selling to? Now, I know a lot of you will probably leave a comment in the comment section and say, well, insurance is going to cover it. Have any of you ever got into a fender bender? You know how long it took for insurance to pay out? Do you really want your attendees caught up in a bureaucracy and with institutions, the whole entire financial institution where the goal is to save money? I don't think I want my attendees being caught in the whole financial system bureaucracy, right? We really have to go ahead and assume 100K is the peak, but we have to sell smart along the way up. Now, for those who don't have thousands of shares, you might have hundreds of shares. Okay, good. You know what? Just hold. Let us apes take care of it for you. We're going to hold and we're going to play this game exactly the way the hedge funds think. We are not going to play this game. You see, all of this circulating, you go on any board, whether it's Reddit or StockTwits, anywhere you go, and everyone is selling the same method. Who's to say that the hedgies don't give you a false break on the squeeze? They let it run up to 1,200 bucks, and then boom, just slams down to 200. Uh-oh, you're in trouble, right? You freak out. I'm selling. You don't think that with this theory or this approach to trading, you don't think that this is exactly what will happen? Because remember, they need your pens, they need your shares. This is dangerous. This will keep you from maximizing your potential. This will keep you from reaching the promised land. This will keep you from reaching the moons. This will keep you from creating the generational wealth. And really think the financial markets, the US government, the brokers, their insurance. You really think they want to hold the bag? So let's play this smart. But now let's go back and you guys are gonna witness my creative illustration here, okay? We're gonna go ahead and draw this mountain here, and there you go. And the very top is 100K. So I currently have 2,000 shares in the game. And we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna label each peak here. So we've got 100 here on the first peak, 1,000 on the next peak, we've got 5,000 on the next peak, right? All the way up to 100,000, right? And I have 2,000 shares, but guess what? I don't want to risk those 2,000 shares. With cryptocurrency, by the way, the cryptocurrency market wiped out $250 billion. We saw Bitcoin go from 62,000 to 49,000 in a matter of a day and a half, 2 days. Why is that getting liquidated? Well, I mean, I'm all about cause and effect. Don't need to be a physics professor to figure out why cryptocurrency is getting liquidated. Okay, so I have 2,000 shares. Current value of 2,000 shares is 20K, right? Now, we all believe, and we have the conviction that it's 100,000, which is, you know, our high. Before you think I'm crazy about the whole 100K, before you think your fellow apes are crazy about the whole 100K, I really want you to think about this, right? Only 16% of the world population does not have a religious affiliation, meaning if you stood in a crowd of 100 people and said God does not exist, bad things might happen to you, or you might offend a lot of people. The thing is that when enough people believe it to be true, it is in fact true. And so if we have enough apes believing that 100K is true, then guess what? We're gonna hold it and we're gonna manifest that truth, right? But you can go ahead and make a lot of money along the way. We go back to this illustration here. We got our price points. I currently have 2,000 shares. I plan on buying 200 more. Why? Okay, so I'm going to add 200 more shares. The reason why I'm going to add 200 more shares is because currently the value of my portfolio sits at about $20,000. With that being said, if I buy 200 more shares, which at the current price are running me about $2,000, when AMC reaches $100, I have now recouped my investment. Now the fear of losing money, we take that out of the equation, right? Because what happens in the stock market? People are constantly fearing losing money. Okay, so at the $100 mark, I make my money back and I cash out. Well, wait, Gabe, aren't the hedgies going to need those shares? Well, see, here's the point of buying additional shares. Because if we're currently at the point where all we are buying are synthetic shares, then what we are doing is maintaining the problem. So when we look at the problem currently, based on the 10-day average volume, the days to cover is somewhere at about 5, a little over 5. So our current situation is a perfect catalyst for the squeeze. But then we add to that problem, right? Because we buy 100 more shares or 200 more shares or however many shares that would go ahead and help us cover our initial investment, right? So we then sell off and we recoup our initial investment at 100. We probably will see a downswing to maybe about 60. Okay, great. So now to buy the same 200 shares back, ladies and gentlemen, it goes down to 60. What is that? $12,000. Okay, cool. Because now we're riding this all the way up to 1,000. So now, how much are your shares worth? Your 200 shares are now worth 200K. When we talk about GameStop and how it just dropped and then it continued on, you're going to see that happening. But see, here's the thing. You're playing with your fake shares. You're not playing with your nest egg here. My nest egg of 2,000 shares has not been touched. I'm still playing with the additional 200 shares that I originally bought. And what these 200 shares are going to do, well, guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted to buy a house, guess what? Those 200 shares on the way to the moon of 100K, those 200 shares are going to go ahead and buy your Lambo. They're going to pay for your house. They're gonna give you financial security, all while protecting your original amount of shares. So now we got a constant feedback loop. Now, this is when 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 becomes a reality. And so then I get to go ahead and sell my shares at a cool 5,000. If I want to exit my entire position, cool, right? If I want to exit half my position, cool, right? I mean, at least for me, I go in a calculator and what's 2,000 times 5,000? That's $10 million. That's 10 million cool dollars. Cool, right? Probably sell maybe a quarter of that, take 2.5 million, right? And then write it on to the next stop. Next stop, and we go back here, is 10,000, right? And this is all made possible by going ahead and buying 200 additional shares of funny money to play against the hedge funds who are already ass deep in synthetic shares, right? And this is how we get to 100K. And we do it by buying and selling with the play money that we just bought, or the play shares that we just bought. Guys, if you think that 100K is not possible, it certainly is. If you really think that you're going to be able to sell on the way down, chances are the hedgies have already gone bankrupt somewhere between the $5,000 and $10,000 area. They've gone bankrupt. Who's paying it again? Do you really want insurance to be paying out your tendies when you had a chance to make a crap load of money on the way up? I don't know. I hope this makes sense to you. I hope it makes sense to Applejacks, because Applejacks doesn't invest. But I mean, I'm really trying to break this down as simply as possible so that apes can understand. Applejacks, does this even make sense to you? You don't invest.
Honestly, I could say that I followed along the whole entire video.
And it made sense to you?
Definitely made sense.
All right. So if it could make sense to a guy who can barely do his hair, it definitely has to make sense to you. We're holding the pen. Ape strong. 100K? It's definitely possible. This is Gabe with ReviewDork. I'm signing out. Peace.